Note that there are some frozen headers in this spreadsheet. As you scroll up and down, these rows up here stay frozen, and as you scroll right, these rows, these columns over here stay frozen. Sometimes when you're deleting cells and columns, you have to unfreeze. Like these three cells right here are merged. If you wanted to delete columns A or B or C, you would need to unmerge those three cells. Then you could safely delete column B, and then when you were done, you could remerge. So just a quick note that there's merged cells and frozen columns and things like that. So contact information is optional for you. Now, each student should choose what class they're in. If all of your students in the same class, you might just go ahead and change this for all of them. Remember, you can copy and paste to do hundreds of these at once. My students need to click on this triangle and pick the name of the class that they're in. If you've got multiple students in multiple classes, this is a little bit of that data validation. Remember that drop-down list, data validation? Here's how you adjust it. Just right-click on that first one and go down to data validation. And this is a list of items, class name 1, class name 2. Remember, there's no space around the comma right there. So take your first class name, type in, that's one of the classes your students could be in, and the next class name is one of the other classes your students could be in, etc., etc. And delete any extra ones that you don't need. There's only 2 classes for my students, so 2 items separated by a single comma. Oops, I think I accidentally deleted my comma. You should have 2 items, each one's a class name separated by a comma, or you can have as many items as you want to. And now, when they go to choose a class, there's only, oh, I left a third comma in there somehow. I made 3 choices for classes. How am I going to do that for all of them? You can simply copy and paste. Copy that, and then scroll down and get all the ones in first period. Oops, my scroll speed is really fast in this computer. There, take all those and simply paste. So now I've pasted those all on top of what was already there, and now each one of these students only has the choice of those 3 classes that I made. I'm going to undo that because I don't want to mess up my template. And there's that. I'm going to undo that as well. I'm back to class names. Okay, so undo. Project ideas I'm thinking about. I have my students type a project idea here. I do a lot of long, complex projects that involve multiple students. And if you go ahead and have students type ideas for projects that they're wanting to do later here, it's going to help them go shopping for partners later on in the semester when, like, who am I going to work with? Oh, this person's got a similar project idea to me. I'm going to work together. If you don't do anything like that, then just delete this whole column right here. Delete the column that's got the project ideas. And I also have students set a goal for the course, and I give them a list of pre-built goals. It helps them focus. I used to let them set wide open goals, and they were often unrealistic. So the goal is what they want to accomplish for the whole course. And I give them these presets right here. Everything from, hey, I just want to pass this class. All I need is to earn some credit. Or I want to be. I want to do a solid job. Or I want to get an A in this class. That's what I'm going for. It's good to go ahead and know that goal at the beginning. Or if your students are creating projects that compete in festivals and competitions and stuff, then I'd say that's a level beyond an A right there. Let the students go ahead and choose that. This can help you kind of tailor your teaching and instruction to what students are trying to accomplish in your class. I'll let students decide their goal, and then I help them achieve that goal. And see, those kind of conversations between you and the student about their goals, it often leads to them elevating their goals a little bit. When they say, oh, how's this project doing? And I say, well, it's a B, and you said your goal was a B, so I think you're accomplishing it. But if you were going for an A, I can give you some advice that would get it there. And sometimes you can motivate students to go above and beyond the goals they originally set. But remember, by putting them in the driver's seat and giving them ownership over the goal deciding process, it lets them feel like they're the ones who are making the decisions about what they achieve in the class, not you. And if anything you can do to transfer that ownership over to the students is going to help empower them to be self-motivated learners with the skills that they'll need to learn anything they need to for the rest of their life, even when they're not near a teacher anymore who's constantly telling them what to do. So once you've set those things, remember you can just copy and paste. You can right click and choose data validation here. If you want to change those goals, you just have to type in whatever you want to have right that, or you can delete the whole column however you like it for your students and set this up. The master row. If you want to, you might just go all the way down to the master row, and if you want to do wholesale changes to this spreadsheet before you share it with your students, like let's say you want to totally change how goals work, or you want them to have goals or something like that, make a lot of changes to this master row and then copy and paste it across all of them. I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. So only make changes to the master row down here. Select the whole row, in my case it's 219, and copy. And that just copied the whole row. And it copied this entire thing all the way over to day number 90. It copied the whole thing with all of the code, all the conditional formatting, everything that's in all those cells. And then you can just paste it on top. Click and drag across a whole range of rows. So here is all 7th period. I've just selected all the cells and all the rows for all 7th period, and all I got to do is paste, and I just pasted my master copy over all of those, and Google will now have updated all those. And again, this is good for organizing. If you don't have 7th period students and you want to delete massive amounts of these, maybe you only have 60 students a day, lucky you, you could click on the bottom of the section you want to delete, and then shift click on the top, and I've just selected all those rows right there with all their cells and everything, and I could right click and just delete the whole lot of them, all those rows right there. I can also insert more rows. So maybe you've got 40 students in your 6th period class. Well, conversation about whether or not you should have 40 students is good for another day, but you're going to need to make some room in the spreadsheet. So just right click just before 7th period and insert a row below that. And you can keep on inserting as many rows as you want to. I haven't found a good way in Google to insert multiple rows, but what I do is I insert several. Once I've got about 3 or 4, I can select the whole block of them. And once you've got a block selected, then it'll let you insert, say, 4 below. And once you got 4, you can select all those. Remember, I'm using shift click to select a whole group, and then I can insert 8 below. So if you need to make room for 20 more students before 7th period, we just made all those rows, and they all came with conditional formatting and all kinds of messy stuff. Ignore all that. We're going to delete it all with a good copy and paste. Go down to your master row, select the whole row by clicking on the number of its row, copy it, and then go up to this new blank space that you created. Click and drag across the first cell of a bunch of rows that you want. I've got them all selected. Carefully, don't accidentally select something you don't want, and then just paste. And it pastes all those new rows in there. All their conditional formatting came with it. All the cell codes, all the everything came with it, and it just blasted that all in there. Now I've got room for, 40 students in my 6th period. Lucky me. And so that is some organizing for the project manager, and then meet me at the next lesson.